Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Esme and you have clicked on Fate Lines and Fire Signs. Today for this reading we're going to do something a little fun. I picked out 3 interesting palm photos from Pinterest actually, and some of these are old. Pinterest. Not to reveal myself as a millennial, but some of these are super old. And I think it's fun to go in to look at them. I should have planned a little better because my photos are a bit grainy, but that's okay. I think this will be fun. So we're just gonna do very high level. I'm not gonna be as in depth as I have with past ones. And I think the 3 that I found tell very different stories. So let's go ahead and do our usual. So take a look at the readings that we've got here and pick your reading. The timestamps will be down below. Oh, and before we go on, submissions. If you would like to have your palm read, please send an email to fatelinesandfiresigns@gmail.com. Send me the back of your hand, the front of your hand, and the pinky side view, and that's of your dominant hand. And again, the email is fatelinesandfiresigns@gmail.com. Hello, reading 1. Thank you for clicking on this reading. So here is the first example that we have. And again, these are all examples of interesting palms that I pulled off of Pinterest. So this one is a bachelor or a wedding photo of, all the groomsmen, right? And I think it was to link to an article about like cute wedding day photo ideas. We're going to spin this because this is the way I prefer to read. So this is his non-dominant hand probably. This is his left hand and it's got the ring on it now, which is super cool and very fun. This is where I regret, video, image quality a little bit. I didn't consider that when I was downloading the images. I'm sure the real image of this is like super great resolution, but that's okay. How much do we really want to reveal about ourselves out just on the internet, out in the wild? So here you can see the headlines very clear, very clear. Somebody with good head for numbers, business acumen, someone who can pick ideas up pretty quick. They've got to work a little bit at it, but this is not an individual making the same mistake twice. What's interesting is, and I can't get any larger, the lifeline starts here, and then it's almost like completely lives a second parallel life, but totally jumps track, right? Like this is somebody who has completely changed the order of their life, or could have had the potential to it. Because, right, like I'm making an assumption that this is the non-dominant hand because most people are right-handed. And we don't know what the dominant hand looks like in this situation. So this is it. There is a certain grain of salt of this is about an individual's potential that they could have lived and isn't necessarily what they did live. So very cool. It feels like this person is in a good place in life and things are good. No way in any universe can I make out attachment lines in this quality. So I think that's going to be here, they've got a really good fate line, actually. And their fate line, it's almost like they get 2. And this reads as good success. Very strong. They do well in life. And you can kind of see a little bit of others. Like this person here has like a super great heart line. Like what a beautiful heart. And let's look at the other guys. See if someone's got a beautiful success line. Super clear. Just cool. Fun to look at those. Hello, reading 2. Welcome to reading 2. So before I pick this up, I am going to say trigger warning, and we'll just get it right out of the way. And I think it's also going to play into what's on this person's hand. I think it's all significant. So here is the image as it would have appeared on Pinterest. You should know, and then here I'm interpreting this to be a self-harm scar, right? And I don't know the exact age of this image, but it was pinned a very long time ago on an old board that I have. And I feel like this sort of message has become normalized with the semicolon, that tattoo that people have gotten and sometimes incorporated them with scars and things like that, right? So trigger warning on this topic, but also this tells part of their story. This is who they are, the struggles that they have dealt with. And when scars show up on the hand, I have the faith or the superstition or whatever you want to call it of knowing that, that scar in that place has a certain representation. So I'm going to flip it this way because this is more comfortable for me to read. The quality on this image is better than the last one that we were looking at, so I can get a lot more detail out of this. We're also looking at another left hand, and this could be this person's dominant hand. We don't know, but lefties are rare. I think lefties are like 10% of the world's population or something like that. I know a lot of lefties. They're interesting and adaptable people. I've read a number of lefties where you can look at both hands simultaneously and they feel very balanced. Whereas I think in right-handed individuals, it's very clear which hand holds dominance. So we can't see the lifeline here. And I think that thinking of this as a piece of art, that's kind of nice, right? Like that's in shadow. The lifeline is sort of in question here, right? Given what we've seen with the tattoo. And this headline, and it goes into these very deep, these could be travel lines. It's just the deepness of the emotion, whether this is this person's dominant or non-dominant hand, like they feel at a depth that not everybody feels. And they are a sensitive, artistic kind of soul, somebody who connects with the world in a different way. And one thing that I really, really want to talk about is down here. This is a giant, crystal clear square on the mound of Mars. And I'm actually just going to read a little paragraph about the mound of Mars because out of my book here, just because I feel like we're all going to have slightly different definitions for parts of the hand. And I like when the tarot readers read from their decks. So we'll just do it this way. You're creative and probably have a love of nature. Sensitive to moods, you're drawn to water. The low bulging edge of your palm next to the Luna Mount. Oh, this one's calling it the Luna Mount. Overhangs the wrist, showing a psychic talent and an interest in the paranormal. It's also the mound of the subconscious. If it's soft to the touch, you're a dreamer who never achieves. But if you have a firmer mound of Luna, then you are able to actually go and achieve your dreams. And squares in general in palmistry are seen as protection. We see them around so deeply. They love so deeply. They have a mystic cross, so the paranormal piece is supported. They believe in the other side, whether they're expressing that dominantly or not. So that is reading number 2. Hello, reading 3. Welcome to reading 3. So here we go. We're going to load this up and we see a set of hands. So this is the first time I've done a set of hands on this channel. And we can see quite a lot of interesting things. I'm now going to flip. So I'm going off the assumption that this is a right-handed individual. Before we dive into lines, let's take it in context. This is an older person's hands. What's interesting about this compared to the other older person hands that I've seen where skin was sort of papery, you can still tell this is an older person, but their hands are more just generally calloused and thicker. They've been used more. This is somebody who's really experienced the world through their hands. And you can just, I don't know, you can just see it in the lines and the way that everything presents together as a whole. And plus you can see like wrinkles on their wrists and things like that. A certain amount of palmistry in my mind is just observation, right? We're just taking a moment to note the other person and the things that they've seen and the world that they've lived in. And I love looking at hands across ages and across cultures because they do tell like such similar and different stories. So here's a hand, our lifeline. We've got massive world events coming at this person in, decades apart, but starting like young in life. Then there's a period of things are very good. And then more lifelike events are happening. And what I mean by that is like at an individual, personal level, things are coming. It keeps flipping. And I think of these more as our personal trials and tribulations and things like that. So, then something big again, but it's almost like it didn't impact in the way that these smaller things did. And then we've got a lessening of the lifeline. So health and vitality, there's a big island here. Things just get tougher. And it probably is that feeling of age setting in and hanging on. There are some of those those protectors, things get broken up and hit less hard, which is great. Here is the headline. Super clear. The way that I read this is somebody who uses the basics every single day. They're doing a very particular set of problem solving that we probably don't do in like the modern age as much. I feel weird saying modern age, but I feel like the kind of life that this person has lived, they have different knowledge than we have, and the way that like our headlines just keep going. We're covering all these like esoteric kind of ideas and things like that. And this is not. This is very much firmly rooted within the world. And that probably feels like common sense, but we know that we don't all live that way anymore. The Heartline. This is somebody, the way that I read this is somebody who has learned to love and find their compassion for the world like late in life. And this just speaks to sort of a different kind of heart, a less open sort of heart. And things become better and clearer, and maybe as things change in life, we're able to open up more. There is also a little bit of a fate line here. So finding a purpose in life, knowing what the point of things are, and having that be reflected in your hand. And it's also, so here's the potential, right? Like, look how different, like, this is the lived experience, and this is what could have been. And to me, I guess now looking, it's more clear to me that this is probably their dominant hand, given the way that it's been used. The heart line doesn't show, they show a deeper, more meaningful heart line here in the non-dominant hand than on the right hand. And it was like through life experiences, it was harder to love, to be compassionate, to make room for others. This was a harder time to live through than what we had the capacity to be equipped for. And then the potential on the headline is great, very balanced individual. And the lifeline here, you still have events coming in. It's more concentrated, but also like giant lightning strikes. Whereas here it got broken up a bit and it felt more attainable, more at scale. And ultimately, like, this is really good, this big square, being protected. Sometimes I like to think of it as karma. Like here, there's good karma. Yes, bad karma is on its way, but we've saved up for it. We've made good choices. We feel good and comfortable knowing that we'll walk into this in life and come out okay. And what's very interesting in this hand is I can't see the attachment lines at all. They're just totally hidden. So that was reading 3. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. Again, this is Esme, and you are watching Fate Lines and Fire Signs. Feel free to like and subscribe, leave a comment, tell me if you're liking this, and if you'd like to send a submission, I'd love to hear from you. Talk to you later. Bye!